but I never witnessed young ladies being instructed, like, how do you actually treat a young man?
That's cool, but you somewhat contradicted yourself, True. Just a little bit, though. Because you said you then learned that super nice crap doesn't fly. That's because someone taught you to be super nice. You weren't being super nice on your own accord. Someone taught you that. And then you're like, this doesn't work.
Well,
because if you're super nice, you're going to be taken advantage of.
Well, I was actually super nice because that's just my temperament. So I wasn't taught to be super nice. I just so happened to be in an environment that allowed me to be a decent human because I was taught to be a decent human. So I was just ultimately nice, assuming that being nice.
I guarantee you, you go around this panel and you ask the ladies on this panel, or you ask any of the ladies in the comment section, what were they doing specifically for boys when they were girls? The answer will be nothing. They don't do nothing. Miss Taken, if you disagree, I would love for you to tell us what you specifically were taught and what you specifically did for the benefit of boys while you were a girl. I don't want to hear about when you were a woman. When you were a girl, what were you taught to do and what did you actually do for the benefit of a boy?
Well, I can't say in my household because
I can't hear you. I don't know if it's my end.
Can you hear me?
It's probably my end.
Anybody else?
I'll drop and come back.
Mistaken, I can hear you.
Can y'all hear me though?
I can hear you too, Will.
Okay, I'll drop and come back.
It's exactly kind of like what True was referring to, the performative aspect of attracting guys. Now, I can't say in my household because I really grew up in a strict household in terms of like not being able to date and things like that. And to talk about sex, you don't have sex until you get married. So that part, I really didn't learn performative aspects of attracting guys. So where most of that information came from was peers, right? And then what I saw on television.
Wait, could you repeat it? Because I didn't hear nothing you said. I'm sorry.
I was saying in terms of directly being taught in my household, that didn't occur because I grew up in a very religious household. So the only conversations around that was, you have sex when you get married, right? We couldn't officially have like real boyfriends until like around 15, 16 years old. Right. So that was my upbringing. So most of what I learned was from my peers and what I saw on TV, just like how kids are using social media today as a guide. That was my guide as well. So specific things were things like some act like you're the damsel in distress, look for guys that, because guys like to help, or put on certain clothing to make you look more attractive. Wearing makeup was one of those things. So the performative being nice, bring, stuff that he's interested, act like you're interested in. So those were some things that I picked up in terms of trying to attract a boy.
Miss Taken, you didn't say anything. Respectfully, I'm not diminishing.
No, I said it was performative, just like boys want to be performative as well.
No, Miss Taken. First of all, you told us nothing that you were taught, right? Which I respect the fact that you were told.
How do you think you're taught something? I don't understand.
Listen to what I'm saying real quick. I'm saying, respectfully saying, I'm not being condescending or diminishing what you were taught, but I'm saying you weren't taught anything specifically to do for a boy. Like I said, you weren't. And other women weren't either. But then you say you heard it basically through the grapevine from your peers, other kids, and you were told things that boys like, but you weren't told what to do expressly for the benefit of a boy. Boys are told what to do for girls' benefit. Girls benefit from boys' interests. Boys don't benefit from a girl's interest. All he gets is the opportunity to perform for you if you like him.
But that's why I introduced the aspect when the question was asked. I'm looking at it objectively. In all my years, I can't remember being instructed on how you specifically treat a woman. other than the things that are frameworked. What I had observed a lot from what even Miss Taken is saying, because I did have my mother and my father, is I watched them interact. And then I took also things on the outside source. I had older cousins, TV, and all of these things built this amalgamation of what I assumed. And then ultimately I got to a state, and I know Trev can definitely rock with this, where most of that being super nice crap don't work. And you have to address certain women in a certain aspect to actually withdraw real treatment from them. But prior to that, I was taught framework. You open doors, you know, you're nice. You are of service in a sense to women just alike. That's what you're taught as a young man, generally speaking, if you come from a decent household. So that's what I'm saying. And I've watched young ladies also be, you know, taught, you bring the plates to the table. You may ask and be hospitable when you have guests and so on and so forth. But I never witnessed young ladies being instructed, like, how do you actually treat a young man?
That's cool, but you somewhat contradicted yourself, True. Just a little bit, though. Because you said you then learned that super nice crap doesn't fly. That's because someone taught you to be super nice. You weren't being super nice on your own accord. Someone taught you that. And then you're like, this doesn't work. Well, because if you're super nice, you're going to be taken advantage of.
Well, I was actually super nice because that's just my temperament. So I wasn't taught to be super nice. I just so happened to be in an environment that allowed me to be a decent human because I was taught to be a decent human. So I was just ultimately nice, assuming that being nice was something that was going to be receptive romantically. And, you know, we learned that doesn't translate the same way. But
you were just Voltron. You already had the capacity to deliver what your parents and what society as a whole taught you. Sure. Because you watch all these movies in the 80s, all these songs in the 80s is promoting men loving on women, making women the prize in everything. And subconsciously, it was embedded, and you just had the fortitude to deliver it beyond what the capacity of most boys had. You still were taught it. You may have also been a nice guy, but you were definitely taught that. You can't live in America and not be taught. Valentine's Day. Did you ever give a girl a Valentine?
Absolutely.
How many girls gave you a Valentine?
Oh, I got them all the time. But
what'd you get for Valentine's?
Oh, candy, little gadgets at times, and
gadgets. What kind of gadget?
Toys, because we were young when that was happening.
Yeah. So. What you get though? If you can recall, what did you get?
I candy most of the time though.
And how big? If you got an item, how big was it? Show me with your hand. Show me how big was it?
Maybe maybe the size of my hand. Nothing.
Who are the huge big gifts for?
Well, are we talking when we're young? Or are we talking?
Yes, girls get teddy bears from the inception. Boys are giving them roses, chocolates, candy, teddy bears, big cars that play songs. We go all out for girls as boys. Little boys will spend all of their allowance to make sure they get a girl something special. Now, a girl just may get you something nice to be nice. Oh, get him something too. But nobody is teaching their daughters to go all out for a boy.
So your argument is that coming from media, or is that coming from the parental unit? Because I thought we originally. Okay, well, that's a different argument, because the media machine, you're right, they definitely place an agenda and an emphasis in creating a narrative that we are to be of service to women. We're supposed to placate to them. We're supposed to elevate them. We're supposed to pretty much praise them. You're right in that aspect.
I want to make sure we understand when I'm talking about boys, I'm not talking about high school kids. I'm talking about boys in the 4th and 5th grade.
Yeah, for sure.
Third, 4th, and 5th grade. They're getting how does a 4th, mind you, most of us are born in the 80s. So I'm not talking about these kids who can order something on Amazon right now. How did we get the girls the nice gifts we got if our parents aren't complicit? We didn't have a way to get to the store. Were you going to Target when you're in the 3rd grade and you're buying a teddy bear on your own? You're getting roses on your own?
Yeah. I get you.
You were taught. You may not realize you were taught. You were groomed. We all were groomed. And it's not that it's a bad thing that we were groomed to love and treat women in a nice way, because we should. I encourage for us to continue to groom boys to do that for girls. But we have to start reciprocating and teaching girls. We don't have to teach them to the same capacity that we teach boys. Remember, I said earlier today, this is not fair. This is not equal. It's balanced, though. Women are supposed to make up for those things at a later time. We don't want to teach our daughters to just be, hey, do. But they should do some things. They should be nice. They should start being proactive and doing things at an earlier age. So what if they do it for a guy who ain't ultimately the guy for them? We do it for girls all the time that ain't ultimately the girl for us. What if we reserved our gifts and our generosity for only the woman that we were serious for?